to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
And it's a Friday, time for Home Repairs and Solutions with Mark and Mary, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And today, since Mark isn't here, it's Mary Pearson and her significant other, which would be her husband, Paul.
That is correct, yes. Yes, Mark could not be here today, so I kind of sweet-talked my husband into coming and helping me co-host the show today.
Good
So
for
this will
you.
be a fun show. He's been on the show before, but always as a guest, but not as a co-host. So he gets to ask some of the questions today.
That could be a mistake, right, Bob?
That's a fact.
And we have as a guest today, we have Bob with Springfield Brick. Bob's been on our show before, but it's been a while. I think it was back in June or something, so it's been several months ago.
I believe so.
So we thought we'd have him back on the show. We haven't had someone to come in and talk about bricks and all the great things that bricks can do to enhance the look of your home and the value of your home. So we thought we'd bring him back on. He did such a good job for us last time, so welcome back to the show, and thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be invited.
Absolutely. We only invite the best to be on our show, Bob. So
Well, now let me pull my pant legs up now.
Do I get to comment in this part?
probably not.
No, okay.
It's not your turn, Paul.
Okay,
No.
Thanks.
Well, you know what we like to do. We promote small local businesses, not necessarily small, but local businesses to be on the show. We like to promote to our listeners and everyone out there in Radio Land to do business locally, keep the money locally, and keep it in our community here and help everyone out so we can all keep our jobs and go to movies and go out to dinner and different things that people like to do around town. So we appreciate you coming back. And I don't know if you just want to kind of tell everybody what Springfield Brick does.
Well, Springfield Brick is actually a distributor for several different brick manufacturers throughout the United States. We are locally owned out of Joplin. We're a subsidiary of Joplin Building Materials, locally owned, family-run business since 1963. We opened up a store in Springfield in 1998 and have been here kind of poking along and growing a little bit each year ever since. So,
Even with the economy down, you guys are still growing.
well, you know, we're maybe not growing so much as treading water, but you know,
I understand that.
the
Trust
building
me.
industry's been so good to us this past year or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
We've had to diversify a little bit, you know.
What about, do you get a lot of people calling you and they have existing homes and they've got, say, lap siding or even vinyl siding and want to spruce their homes up and make it look a lot better?
Absolutely. You know, some of the most popular items over the past few years have been the synthetic stone. Because it doesn't need that structural foundation underneath. You can
Right.
add that to your home, tear that siding off, and add that synthetic stone and get that masonry look that increases the value of your home and just that aesthetic curb appeal. And thin brick has actually caught on, which is just about a half-inch thick face of a
really?
brick that they've started using quite a bit here lately on some older projects.
So when you use the masonry stone, can a homeowner do that himself, or do you recommend a professional to do something like that?
You know, anytime you can save a little money and do it yourself, you know, it's a great thing. As far as applying the synthetic stone, that's kind of a toss-up. You know, you kind of need to have a good working knowledge of masonry. It can be done by a homeowner. We normally recommend, if it's outside, you might want to hire a professional to kind of help you out. Interior work where water penetration may not be as big of an issue. You know, yeah, the homeowner, we find a lot of them kind of tackle those indoor projects and leave the outdoor projects to more of the guys that do it every day.
Is that because the mortar mix has to be done right? Isn't that the biggest part?
It
that
is.
And stacked properly and different things.
Yeah, the mortar as a you know, typical rule of thumb is mortar soaks in water. So your water barrier and your flashing and so forth around your openings and different areas of your home is a really important issue, and something that the average homeowner might overlook. So going through and hiring that professional to kind of go through and make sure that that's done correctly. Even they make mistakes occasionally, but they're less apt to.
Well, it's kind of like in our business, anybody can put ductwork together, but doing it right, putting it in right, sizing the ductwork right, there's a lot more that goes into it. Not all things that look simple are simple, and I think that's probably where your business is too, isn't it?
Very much so. The guys that do it every day make it look easy. The professionals out in the field, they do it every day. It's like pouring milk in cereal. They're used to it.
It's just easy for them, huh?
That's a good way to put it.
It's just when you do it every day, it just becomes old hat. But
and they have the tools also.
They do, and it takes a lot more than just a trowel and a wheelbarrow and a hoe to get it done.
Yeah.
Now, this synthetic stone that you're talking about, that's what people usually they use it for accent. Is that what you're talking about?
Quite a bit,
like
yeah.
on the corners of the garages or whatever. That's okay.
They'll do what we call typically is a teardrop shape on the corners where the stone just kind of droops down from the corners, or maybe around the the entryways of their homes, just to kind of spruce it up a little bit. Even the existing brick homes, we're seeing a lot of the synthetic stone used.
Really
just to kind of bring them up to date a little bit,
Can that be applied right over the brick?
Absolutely.
Okay, but not over the siding.
Not over the siding. They need to go back to a solid exterior structure to give it something to adhere to, and that's where the old metal lath and scratch coat and so forth applies.
Okay.
You was talking about the half-inch synthetic brick. Now, you use the same kind of mud when you put that, or is that a different kind of mud? That's kind of interesting. Because don't you have to put a brick ledge down usually on regular brick to make that work? Now you can put this type of brick on, and you don't. I'm taking it you do not have to do that.
Exactly.
Wow.
You don't have to have that solid structure underneath to hold all that weight. They've cut it down so that it's only a half-inch thick. To put it in terms that the average homeowner might understand, it's kind of like a tile, where it's a thin coat or a thin product that would actually be applied directly to the structure of the home, just like a tile in your bathroom wall. So.
Now, does that come in different colors? I would assume
A multitude of different colors and sizes, actually.
Oh, really?
And it's something that not everybody's going to have in stock. There's so many different colors when it comes to brick, and a lot of folks don't understand that. Brick is burnt mud, so there's a extreme wide range of colors available to pick from. So really, when you come in, go through the samples and the brochures and kind of pick out what you want. We can get the samples in so you can take a look at them and pick out what you want and kind of get what goes with your home.
Is there a different quality of brick? I mean, someone like me, a lay person, I look at brick's a brick, but I found out in different regions of the country, like in Texas, where we unfortunately lived one time, but anyway, there was a sand brick, and the weather would actually wear the brick out, and it would just absolutely pit it.
There are different grades of brick. There are grades of brick for mild weather conditions and severe weather conditions. Here in Missouri, we are in a severe weather condition area where it would be an SW grade brick because of our freeze-thaw cycles. We have, through our winter times, we may have a freeze-thaw cycle every day.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because we teeter right on that freeze line.
All right.
So that can really wreak havoc with a wet winter and that freezing conditions. So you want to go with a severe weather brick, and that goes back to those good installation practices on the exterior of your home. You want to make sure that it's done correctly to get that water out of the wall and keep it from entering the wall if at all possible.
Another question is brought up. A lot of people think once you put brick on a home, there's no more maintenance.
Boy, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be nice, but I think a lot of people think that.
Well, we've explained it to different folks. It's kind of like your driveway. A concrete driveway looks beautiful when it's first poured and finished out, and it's just beautiful gray. And over time, dirt and so forth settles on it, and it kind of gets dirty and grungy. Same thing will happen to a brick wall. You need to go through and clean it every few years. Hose it down with just a standard water hose from around your house.
You don't power wash them?
Well, you can. We like to see people be very careful with the power washer, especially on older homes that have been around 50, 60, 70 years. That mortar does deteriorate over time. And if you hit that with a power washer directly with that nozzle, you're going to start peeling mortar out of your wall and create more issues than you had before. So you want to be real careful because you can do more harm than good with a power washer.
So just washing it out with a regular water hose will pretty much take care of the problem?
If you stay on top of it. If you kind of hit it, 2 or 3 times throughout the year, just when you're washing off the sidewalk or whatever, and just hit those spots where you might have a little mud splatter up where you had a gutter that lost its little downspout or something like that. It's just standard home maintenance issues. Now, if you've had a home that's been neglected for a few years, haven't been able to get out and get it hosed off, there are cleaners available that you can apply with a standard sprayer, like a garden sprayer. Spray them on there and then hose them off. And there's a few, if you have some trouble areas where you've had some excess dirt build up, or whatever, maybe a rusty screw where it was holding your downspout on, there are cleaners available to help take that off your brick and bring it back to that brand new look.
Well, there's a lot of companies out there that have power wash businesses, and they probably pretty well understand what's going on, so they can lower the pressure and maybe the power washer. So
absolutely.
I'm sure you've talked to those.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of good businesses out there running cleaning companies and so forth, and they understand the fact that those nozzles, they use the right nozzles to get more of a wand effect as opposed to a direct spray. But there are some typical issues that come up with brick, such as that white unsightly film that kind of gets on areas of your brick, and typically it's on the lower areas around your plants and bushes where your sprinklers hit your walls consistently, and that's where that white unsightly efflorescence is actually what it's called. It's basically just the mineral deposits left behind from where the waters hit that wall and then evaporated off. That's a real toughie because you don't see it when it's wet. It only comes back when it's dry.
So what's the name of that big word again?
Efflorescence.
Oh, wow, Bob, I'm impressed.
I'm telling you.
I'm really impressed, buddy.
That is big. I knew that one too, didn't I?
You did good.
Right there.
All right. Well, folks, we're talking here with Bob from Springfield Brick. Why don't we give out our phone numbers? If someone has a question, they can give us a call. They can ask Bob a question, or Paul if you need a heating and air question. The phone numbers are 862-9977 or 1-800-375-0056. Free call from anywhere you want to call from. We'd be happy to talk to you today, answer any questions you might have, and maybe give you some good advice while we're at it. So be thinking about what you'd like to ask these guys, and let us hear from you. One of the things that I was wondering about is, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but how does brick compare to like steel siding? They have steel siding now that's supposed to be long-lasting and easy maintenance and all that. Do you know how that compares to like a brick for a home instead of the steel siding that they have available?
As far as cost comparisons?
Yeah, cost.
I really don't. We've ran comparisons in the past with brick compared to vinyl siding and brick compared to a multitude of different products. In the end, you can always save money by going with an inferior product. And yes, of course, I'm partial to brick because that's the line of work we're in. But the fact of the matter is it's hard to compare to something that lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to dent a brick.
It's real hard. It's real hard.
Yeah, when you're mowing, the rock usually doesn't sling a hole in your brick wall like it does your vinyl siding.
And the nice thing about brick is it never fades, brick doesn't fade. Concrete will fade. A colored concrete product will fade. Brick do not fade in color. They can get dirty, as we spoke of, but a little bit of cleaning brings them right back to life. And a little bit of cleaning time on a brick is still a whole lot easier than painting siding.
Oh, painting a house is horrible.
Well, you said brick won't fade. What about the cultured stone? Will it fade to a certain extent?
Unfortunately, to say yes.
So there might be a business for someone in the future to go around and repaint stone.
Well, and honestly, there are companies out there now that do staining on masonry.
Well,
there you go.
I'm going to have another business, Mary.
Oh, good.
Graffiti.
We'll point you in the right direction, Paul.
Oh, thanks, Bob. I don't need that kind of help.
So you stain that as opposed to painting it.
Right.
You don't paint. Okay.
Because the principle of masonry is we like to say that masonry is a living, breathing creature. It needs to breathe. It needs to have that airflow passage through it. And if you start painting it, you create that impervious membrane over the face of it, and you're trapping moisture possibly in your wall. Even though you're preventing anything from going in, you're trapping it in, inside as well. So it's not a real good practice.
I've seen a lot of older homes painted. I mean, they look really nice when they get done, but that really starts I guess creates a major problem for you in the future.
It sure can, and that's an issue that a lot of folks have faced, especially with the downtown revitalization projects. A lot of these homes were painted back in the 70s and 80s even, and what that's done is created that membrane over the face of it, so any moisture that did happen to pass through didn't have anywhere to go, because the weep holes out of the bottom where water was allowed to get out before has been filled up with dirt and debris and then painted over and allowed those bricks to deteriorate over time and really kind of cause an issue.
So can I get someone out there to sandblast it? I mean, imagine that'd be very expensive, and then you could really harm the brick probably then.
Exactly. You don't really want to sandblast it. There are some products out there available, and even some environmentally friendly products that will help take that paint off, but regardless, it is still a nasty mess. But it can be done to kind of bring it back to what it looked like somewhat originally. But once it's painted, it's a real booger to get it off there.
I bet, because it's so porous, like you said.
Goodness. Well, so if you have a brick house, you probably don't want to paint it.
We'd prefer you didn't.
Not that. It took a craftsman, and folks got to understand that too. It's a craftsman that put that brick up. And I mean, it just doesn't stack up there by itself and stay level, those straight lines, and how they do that. That's an art.
I can say this, I've learned a lot about brick over the years, and one of the most important things I've learned is that I am not a mason. I cannot lay brick. At least not in a straight line. I've tried.
I believe
it didn't turn out well.
I think you have to use a level.
Well, there's that too.
So, in other words, if you're thinking about having some brickwork done, and if you're not skilled in that area, you might want to seek out a professional to help you do that. So,
I've got a question for you on that. So, you probably got a list of great contractors just masonry contractors.
We do. We have a list of contractors that all you have to do is come in and ask, and we'll give you that list. We make it a point to explain to people that they're not affiliated with us directly, but what we do is we try and keep the guys on there that are they do good work, kind of honest folks, and should do a good job for you. And we give you the list and say, give them all a call. Call them all. And see which one you're the most comfortable with, because that's the most important thing is not just the good job that you're going to get out of it, but the relationship you have with your contractor.
You can, I've been around a lot of those guys, and you can tell when they're out there doing the job. They might cost a little bit more than another contractor or something like that. They can cut corners. Mm-hmm. They can make it look pretty for a while. Some of those guys can. I mean, we have the same thing. There's corners you can cut, but the cheapest is not always the best.
That's a fact.
And I've seen that. I've seen actual where stone and brick have come off the walls because they didn't tie them into the walls properly. I've seen that several times on other jobs.
It's actually a frequent issue that we deal with, homeowners coming in and saying, hey, these stones fell off my house, what can I do? And that really creates a problem because we don't have stones that are exactly that size to replace them with.
Because they all have they're all different sizes
unique.
and
they're all pretty unique. And as the years go on, the molds change just ever so slightly. Even though it's a manufactured product,
right?
It's hard to find an exact match. So then you wind up kind of making do with what's available at the time.
Yeah, because those culture stone, I've seen some in Springfield being made, and it's a rubber mold. Ones I've seen. So I imagine, with that cement, they wear out pretty fast, I imagine. So the manufacturer's got to constantly keep updating them, and it will cause a problem.
And being smack dab in the middle of the country, you're gonna experience a lot of different manufacturers. There's stone manufacturers from Pennsylvania all the way to California that have supplied stone in this area, as well as local manufacturers. So there's no telling where it came from to try and find that exact match.
Other thing on that is when they're doing that stone, there's a certain lot number you keep, and if you don't go back to that same lot number, the color could change.
And that's actually, it's not as prevalent in stone because it has a wide range of color typically.
Right.
There are a few out there that are just a monolithic color. But there's a lot of them. Most of them have a little bit of range to them, several different colors in the blend, if you will. So that as far as matching color, you can get lucky occasionally. It may take a little bit of footwork on your part, but you can get lucky.
Okay.
About how many different colors do you think there are to choose from for brick?
Well, there's more colors of brick than there were in my kindergarten Crayola box.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
Because you have different shades of red, different shades of brown, different shades of gray.
That's what I've been told.
And on and on and on.
I like to tell everybody we're frequently asked, well, what do you think of this color? It's not our home.
Sure.
And I've tried to explain to folks that my wife has done her absolute best to explain to me that I have no taste whatsoever in color, and I try and avoid the topic altogether.
Is there a certain color that seems to be more popular in this area than others?
It's definitely it changes like anything. Browns used to be very, very popular here, earth-toned colors, and they still are. The classic reds will always, be a popular choice. As far as, and this is something we've talked about in the office, well, golly, we've sold a lot of browns this year, we've sold a lot of reds, but as a whole, it's just kind of, I think it's about a 50-50 flip.
I would say it might depend on the style and the location of your home, too, as to what would look the best, and if you have a lot of windows or if you have a lot of solid exterior walls or something. So maybe looking at the plan and the design of the home might constitute what color would look best.
Certainly.
As well. So
you may not want just a plain schoolhouse red on a real contemporary looking home.
Yeah, it might not work real well. Well, Dan's signaling we need to go for a break, so we are going to go to some commercials and be right back here shortly.
This is the Wall Street Journal Report. I'm Jennifer Kishinka. We're feeling a little bit better about the economy and job growth, with consumer sentiment improving in February to a year high. The Thomson Reuters University of Michigan's index on consumer sentiment came in at 75.3, edging up from 75 in January. But economist Lynn Reeser says gas prices are a concern going forward.
The job market seems to be fueling this increase. The biggest risk going forward is the recent jump in gasoline prices. And that prospect of $5 gasoline is, I think, going to weigh on consumer confidence.
New home sales fell in January, but an upward revision to the prior month's data and a drop in the supply of properties on the market added to growing signs of a budding recovery in the housing sector. Sales were up 3.5% compared to a year ago. On Wall Street, the Dow Industrial's down 2 at 12,982, but the NASDAQ is up 4. And the S&P 500 is up 2.5. This is the Wall Street Journal Report.
Extremely dry, itchy skin needs intensive relief that lasts. So get Gold Bond Intensive Healing Cream. With 2 dedicated medicines, it targets the underlying causes of itch and irritation, whether they be allergies, rashes, irritation, or just dry, chapped skin. And it has 7 moisturizers to provide relief that lasts and lasts. Gold Bond Intensive Healing Cream. Intensive healing for lasting itch relief. Use as directed.
One thing I've learned on my journey to help save people money on car insurance is that folks across the country like convenience. And what could be more convenient than visiting geico.com? We can manage your policy, pay your bill online, just about anything you need. And it's open 24/7. It's kind of like popping into the ultimate convenience store. Except we save people money. And we don't have beef jerky.
For a free rate quote, visit geico.com to see how much you could save. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. Police are looking for 3 men involved in a stabbing at a Springfield apartment complex. Officers say a man opened his door around 10:45 last night in the 200 block of North Bellcrest, and 3 men attacked him. One of the men pulled a knife and slashed the victim across the chest. The victim is recovering in a local hospital. Investigators in Hickory County are talking to a man who was arrested overnight about the discovery of a woman's body along Highway 54 near Wablo. The woman was discovered last night around 7 p.m. Officials have not released her identity. More details are expected to be released today. And Springfield Fire Department officials said yesterday that the body found by Burlington Northern employees Tuesday at Glenstone and Page is that of Ross Lee of Bodark. An autopsy is being done in Columbia, but investigators say the death appears to be from natural causes. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
Do you suffer from a magnesium deficiency?
My doctor told me I needed more magnesium, so he recommended I use Magox 400.
You're not alone. Millions of Americans don't get enough magnesium in their daily diet. And magnesium is a critical nutrient that helps you convert carbohydrates, protein, and fat into energy. Doctor-recommended Magox 400 is made with the most concentrated form of magnesium available, and each dose of Magox 400 provides all the magnesium you need each day.
Magox 400's magnificent.
Try Magox 400, the magnificent magnesium supplement.
Catch all the nail-biting excitement and hard-hitting interviews on Morning Line with Dan Vaughn and his great lineup of special guest hosts: Chuck Wooten, John Sellers, the fellow from Amarillo, Dave Smith, Dr. Elizabeth Dudash, Jeff Seifrid, Andrea Lord, and Brian Calfano. That's Morning Line, weekdays 6:40 to 10 a.m. here on AM 560 KWTO.
In this town, there's only one pizza joint that has your best interests in mind. They make every single pie from scratch, with the freshest ingredients and 100% real mozzarella. Oh, and if your engine's running a quart low, well, they can take care of that too. Casey's General Store, a convenience store, and a whole lot more. Right now, you can get a large sausage pizza, hot or mild, for just $10.
Meyer Communications is looking for a broadcast technician with experience in computer programming and maintenance. Audio and RF duties associated with radio broadcasting, as well as maintaining broadcast equipment, are part of this position. Apply in person at Meyer Communications at 3000 East Chestnut Expressway in Springfield. Meyer Communications is an equal opportunity employer.
Breezy and cooler for today. We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine with a high 46 as we wrap up the work week. The skies will be clear tonight, low 25. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 52 as we start the weekend. A low tomorrow night down to 33. Partly sunny, breezy, and mild for your Sunday with a high 61. Partly sunny again as you head back to work on Monday, high 62. There is the chance for rain on Tuesday with a high 68. I'm AccuWeather's Jason Lord.
41 degrees in Springfield.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
You're listening to Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air Heating and Air Conditioning, your local Amana dealer. And your hosts today are Mary. Mark, I started to say Mark isn't here today.
He's not here today.
Mark and Paul Pearson, and your guest.
Yes, it's Mary and Paul, but that's okay.
What'd I say?
You said Mark and Paul, but that's okay.
I knew I'd
you
get
must
it
be
right.
missing Mark.
I must be redheaded.
But that's okay. Well, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the part of the show where Mark and I usually visit a little bit about what's going on with him or with Spring Mountain Air or whatever. But since he's not here, I told him that I would go ahead and promote his 6th annual Midwinter Bluegrass Festival for Convoy of Hope. His band has been doing this for the last 6 years. Convoy of Hope is one of the charities that they like to help out, one of the local charities here. And next Saturday, March 3rd, starting at 3 o'clock at the River Bluff Fellowship out off of Evans Road, they are going to be doing their Bluegrass Festival, and it is a $10 donation at the door, and then all the proceeds go to Convoy of Hope. And this is something Mark is really passionate about, that he really enjoys doing this, and so I told him that I would kind of let people have a heads up because he'll be back next Friday, but then it'll be the next Saturday. The doors actually open at 2, and so if you're looking for something to do, to take your family to and just have a great time, you might want to mark this down on your calendar. Go out there, listen to some great bluegrass music, and help out the Convoy of Hope here locally. So there you go, Mark. I did that for you, so I get an atta-girl for that.
Atta-girl.
And he's really good.
Yes, he is. He's a great musician. He loves music, and I'm sure they put on a fantastic show. Actually, I would like to go, except that we are going to be in St. Louis at the basketball games while that's going on, so we're going to miss it this
Missouri
year.
Valley.
Yep. Paul and I are going to see the Missouri. We're going to go for the March Madness. That's our little mini winter vacation.
Well, they
every
call
year.
it up there Arch Madness.
Arch Madness, that's correct. But it's a good time. We have a great time, but I'm sure anyone going to the Convoy of Hope Festival will have a good time as well. So, looks like we'll have a caller on the line. We have Andy with Springfield. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I thought I was calling the sports reporter.
Oh, no, that's the wrong station. Sorry.
You have Home Repairs and Solutions. You want to talk about brick, Andy?
No, thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for calling anyway. Well, I thought I had a question for you there.
He missed his good chance to talk.
He did.
Well,
He did.
we could have talked about sports.
Yeah, we could.
We could have. We could have. Well, we kind of did. We're talking about March Madness, but that must not be what he had in mind.
Well,
I was looking here on your website, springfieldbrick.com, and you have a really neat website. It's got lots of information and lots of ideas and things on here. So one of the things we haven't done yet that we always need to try and do is give out your contact information. So if someone needs to call you, or if they want to come by your store, they'll know where you guys are located.
well, absolutely. Springfield Brick Company, located at 3100 East Division, Springfield, Mo. We are just west of 65 Highway west of 65 on Division. You'd think I'd know where it was. I drive there every day. You can reach us at 417-823-3700.
And you have a really neat showroom there, don't you? Where people can come in and kind of look around and see the products you have available. And do you have some displays where it kind of gives them maybe some creative ideas as well?
We have a lot of brick displayed on the wall. There are a lot of brochures available. A lot of the brick manufacturers, when they put out a brochure, they use a lot of photos of previous jobs. And of course, there's going to be some really unique applications in those pictures, and a lot of brick displayed. The showroom itself, we have a lot of stone displayed as well, of course, and retaining walls. That's something else that we also provide. And you know, we're not just Springfield Brick. We actually have brick and stone, block, and all the masonry accessories to go with your project.
Okay. Well, we have another caller hanging on the line here, so we'll go to Bob at Ozark. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Yeah, I just had a hot water tank installed, and I turned the thermostat up, and I've got almost scalding hot water for about 5 minutes in the shower, and then it turns cold. I can't understand how there can be just that much hot water in a 40-gallon tank, and then it runs out. I don't have enough time to take a shower.
How old's your hot water tank, Bob?
How old is it?
Yes, sir.
Brand new. I just had it installed.
What's your thermostat set on your water tank?
No, not quite over to hot.
And you just had it installed by a plumber, you said?
Yes, sir.
And you can't. Have you called him back?
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do.
Uh-oh.
What is that, gas or electric?
Gas.
The gas one?
Yeah.
Without going out there, there could be a couple things. I mean, thermostat could be bad. I mean, there's different things.
Oh, it gets hot. I get very hot water.
And you run out.
But I run out.
It
runs out in like 5 minutes in the shower.
Well, it sounds like it could be a thermostat problem. I don't know without looking at it. But that would be the first place I would go to, Bob.
Yeah.
But your plumber that put in should come back out and warranty that. If it's been in, how long's it been in?
Oh, about 3 months, I guess.
Yeah, he should come out and take a look at that for you.
Yeah, well, he was back, but he doesn't know what to do with it.
Well,
he's bum-puzzled.
Did your plumber provide the water heater, or did you purchase it separately?
I bought it separately. Had him put it in.
Why.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing else you could do, I mean, you can call another mechanical out there and have them look at it. They'll charge you to look at it, and then they probably can warranty that part for you, whatever's wrong with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about your only. Did you get it from a big box store or local hardware?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
If you have a receipt or something like that, someone could come out and take a look at that and then diagnose the problem, then maybe warranty that part for you and get it back up. So you just start doing that?
No, it's done it ever since you put it in.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've been living with that problem the whole time?
Yeah, right.
I mean, without looking at it, that's about as far as I can go with it, Bob. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Well, good luck, Bob. Thanks for calling. We have another caller. We have Roger from Branson on the line. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. I called you last week about the same problem, and what I found was the lines were hooked up backwards. The hot was going in the cold, and the cold was going in the hot.
Well,
and Mark told me that what it does then is it takes the cold water, and there's a tube on one side where it takes the water that's coming in and puts it on the bottom of the tank, and this just reverses the process, so you have hot water for a short period of time when they're hooked up backwards. You could just hold on to the pipe and determine which one's the hot and the cold where it comes out of the wall and see if it matches what says on top of the tank.
Well, that's a good point.
Mine was put in by a licensed plumber, and it only was hooked up like that for 16 years. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's why we're not a plumber.
Yeah.
Because we do heating and air conditioning only.
It takes a special knowledge to be a plumber, so. Anyway, you have a good day. I just thought maybe I'd help him out.
Okay, thanks,
Well,
Roger.
hopefully he was listening in, and yeah, it might maybe it could be something simple like that. So hopefully he can get that taken care of. So we appreciate you calling us back today, Roger. One of the questions that I had when you were talking about the half brick or thin brick, what did you say it was?
We call it a thin brick.
Thin brick. Do people sometimes use that maybe for can that be used for a backsplash application in a kitchen or something?
Absolutely. Interior use of the thin brick has become extremely popular over the past few years. Folks that have redone basements, turned them into those interesting little wine tasting rooms or whatever. Thin brick has become a very popular option for those. Backsplashes in kitchens, basically anywhere that you've ever thought about using a tile, a thin brick can be used. The only thing that we try and talk people out of is using them on the floor.
That was my next question.
They're really not meant to be used in that manner. And the argument has been posed to us, well, tiles used on the floor, why can't we? Well, the tile manufacturing process is a little bit different than manufacturing a thin brick, so it's a little bit different composition of material.
So it is an actual brick versus a ceramic.
Exactly.
So it's still porous and everything like a brick.
Very porous and yeah, it's just not manufactured in that purpose. Now it has been used, and it has been used with success in the past in particular applications, but we still do not recommend it.
For the floor.
Yeah.
But for any kind of brick accent, like maybe on a fireplace or something, it would be maybe preferable to the full-size brick.
Absolutely. Okay. You know, a lot of these newer fireplaces in the homes, they're they're a metal box with a metal pipe chimney, style, and they really, they weren't constructed underneath to support a masonry facade on the face of that fireplace. And a thin brick or a cultured stone or a manufactured stone is a really a great option.
I got a question for you. What about, you see these, you're going to love this question.
Oh, boy.
What about these people that get these bricks and they have them engraved with their names and stuff? Do you guys do something like that?
We sure do.
Well, that wasn't too bad a question.
We've worked with a lot of charitable organizations for fundraising programs, and just memorials and so forth. We're owned by Joplin Building Materials, so we've been involved with memorial projects down there in the Joplin region since that tragedy.
You have to send that off to.
Actually, we do it in house now.
Really?
We have all the machinery and so forth to do that at our plant in Joplin.
Wow.
So I can get one that says, "Mary, don't hit me with this brick."
We can do that.
You could.
We, however, do have some limitations. A lot of the monument companies have really high tech equipment to do a lot of fancy photos and things like that they can engrave in granite and so forth. We're still limited and a little bit antiquated where we do primarily sandblasting in our bricks, so we're really still more limited to just names and maybe some basic photo outlines, if you will.
Done with a CNC machine, or is that just template and then
a template and an old sandblasting cabinet? Really? We try and make it sound technical, but that's really as fancy as it gets.
Oh, okay. Well, that's neat.
So do people typically use those to put in? What do you do with something like that? You put it in your garden or your in the corner of your fireplace, or what do you do with something like that?
We've had individuals in the past, a custom builder building a home. He's put his name in a brick built by so-and-so builders and put it down in kind of like a cornerstone.
Okay.
We've had families say, this is going to be our family home, or we're remodeling this home. It's been in the family for the old farmhouse, been in the family for several years, and we want to have this engraved, just as kind of.
Can people bring you in bricks or stone or something like that? I'm not trying to get.
They can, and we have done it. We've done stones before. Yeah. It's really kind of not our forte, if you will, but we can do it.
Question.
We're not proud. We'll do a lot of things for money.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, it looks like we have another caller on the line, Bill from Springfield. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, good morning. I just thought I'd share something that I did with that thin brick a couple of years ago, and it really made a big difference. I live in an 80s house that had a cast concrete front steps. That just looked awful. So I had the thin brick put on, so it looks like I have a brick steps now.
Oh, fantastic!
I had that stuccoed on there, and it looks absolutely marvelous. It looks like I have nice bricks that really set off the house instead of that plain old white concrete that was sitting out there.
Oh, good deal.
That is a good idea, and it does fine as far as you walking on it and all that. You haven't had any issues with that?
It's what I did is I had him put it just on the sides. So the treads are still the old concrete.
Oh, I see.
But the risers and the sides are the thin brick.
Okay, well that is a good idea.
And it looks absolutely 100% gorgeous, and it's held up that was 4 or 5 years ago, and it's holding up beautifully.
That was a great. Did you come up with that idea, or did someone suggest that to you?
The idea popped into my head because I knew about the existence of this thin brick, and then I found one of the masons in town who was willing to do it. It didn't cost very much at all.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's a great idea.
And he just popped that on there in 2 days so that it really looked absolutely gorgeous. Because the front of my house had brick on it, and then there was this white concrete steps that just looked horrible. And we actually were able to pretty much match the brick that was on the house too.
Dressed it right up, didn't it?
It just looks absolutely classy.
Yeah.
Well, that is a great idea. Thanks for calling in and telling us about that, because that's something I probably would not have thought of. So that would be a great idea.
Yeah, it really upgraded the appearance of the house very, 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 very nicely.
Well, I bet it did. You know, and you do see a lot of some of the older homes that do just have the concrete steps in front. They might have a brick facade, but then the steps are just all concrete. So I could see where that would really enhance the look of a place like that, to do something like that.
Yeah,
so a great idea.
Alrighty, thanks.
Thanks for calling, Bill.
Sure.
And, you know, spinning off of that, you know, he brought up a good application on those steps, and if your steps are designed correctly, you can always add a split paver to the top of that to complete that brick look as well. Something else that's available, you know, the clay pavers, they have them in the traditional 2 1/4 inch thickness for driveways and so forth, but they also have a split paver, which is about 1 1/4 inch thick and can be applied over top of an existing sidewalk or something of that nature to kind of increase the, you know, enhance the look of your home.
On that same brick, can you get a bull-nosed edge on that?
You can. When you start getting into those different shapes and so forth, colors are somewhat limited.
Oh, because they'll change.
Well, not all manufacturers make shapes. And you can't really cut it and get that same look. So
I didn't even think you could do that at all with brick, so that's interesting. I just thought they were all just like these rectangular chunks of mud.
Just dried up mud.
There you go. We have another caller. We have Mike with Springfield on the line. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, good morning, folks. I've got a couple of questions. First, I had some experience with pavers and outdoor barbecue kits that we installed at school, at OTC, one of my classes last year, and have a minimal experience with that. And am wondering, with regard to the thin set product for the fireplace inside, you know, one's house, would it take a lot of skill to set something up like that? And second question is with regard to the 40-gallon hot water heater. Theoretically, does a person have 40 gallons worth of hot water until it bleeds cold water? Is that how that works with a hot water heater? Do you literally have 40 gallons of hot water available until it turns cold?
No, it's a continuous process of the water going into the heater as you're using it. So as far as capacity, probably not.
Okay, so 5 minutes worth of hot water it isn't
well, you're not
a concern if you only have 5 minutes of. If you let the hot water tap run for 5 minutes, you've pretty well exhausted the supply, right? That's how it works.
No, because it's constantly heating from the bottom, so you're always getting that heated water coming back. So
at what temperature though? You know, I understand it's constantly heating, but it won't be at 135 if the thermostat set at 135. You're not going to have 40 gallons of water at 135 available, right?
Correct.
Okay, so for a 40-gallon tank, which isn't, you know, a hotel size boiler, then five minutes worth of hot water isn't too bad then, right?
Well, it depends. A lot of the faucets and shower heads now are a low flow capacity, and it shouldn't be able to drain a hot water heater in 5 minutes. So
if you have a hot tub, you can do that. Certainly. And that's when your plumber will tell you need a bigger hot water heater too.
Definitely.
Gotcha. So I guess it would behoove a person to take a stopwatch and calculate gallons per minute, how much water you're running, and then do the math and see if there is a problem, a concern.
There's probably some calculations out there you can come up with off the internet to establish that.
Okay. Yeah, my neighbor was having the same darn problem, and she's got an electric heater, hot water heater, and it sort of captured my interest. But then getting back to that veneer, if you will, on the fireplace, I'd like to fancy mine up. You know what I mean? And just wondering if I'd be getting over my head with that project.
No, you'd probably be fine.
If he come in and talk to you about it, could you kind of go over the process with him of how that needs to be done?
Yeah, you bet. We can point you in the right direction and give you some good information and advice to follow.
Okay, I appreciate you folks. Good day.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Dan's telling us we have about 2 minutes left in the show. I can't believe it's almost gone already.
Wow. We were just getting started.
We were. I know. That's usually what happens on the show. We just get started and then we have to stop.
We always have a good time when Bob's around, though.
We do. We like having Bob on the show. Why don't you give out your contact information one more time, just in case people weren't ready the first time? We haven't been able to do that too much during the show. So
Absolutely. Springfield Brick over at 3100 East Division, just west of Highway 65 on Division Street. Give us a call, 417-823-3700.
And I promise you folks, Bob will take care of you.
We'll do our best.
We've known him for a long time, and they're great people to work with. And one of the things that I was noticing on your website that was kind of interesting is why use brick, and it adds curb appeal, which we talked about. It's virtually maintenance-free. It says here it will lower your insurance rates. I'm assuming that's because it doesn't have the burn value that lumber or something like that does. It doesn't fade, rot, or warp. It increases the resale value of your home, and it's available in hundreds of colors and textures. So if that's something that someone's looking to do, I advise them to come by your store and check out what you guys have there for them, and you guys can help them out and answer some questions.
Come on down and see us.
That'd be great. Well, I think we're about out of time now. I think Dan's getting ready to cue up our song. So this has been Home Repairs and Solutions. We're heard here every Friday morning from 10 to 11 on 560 AM.
You need home repairs and solutions.